I found this article that talks about how 62% of Americans are still living paycheck to paycheck. "62% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck." So in the CNBC article, they're doing a deep dive because for me, when I look at the economy and how it's doing, there's all kinds of reports. I'm sure you guys are as confused as I am if you're following social media, if you're watching it on YouTube, all that good stuff. But the feeling for me, when I go to the supermarkets, when I talk to friends, to my peers, most of which are either middle class or poor, everyone's feeling like financially they're affected in a negative way.
More water going up.
But I'm constantly seeing people in the media point to the stock market. And I don't know where they're getting these inflation rates. I don't know where they're getting all this information, but there's this idea that the economy is doing well and it's getting better. But it doesn't really feel like it for most Americans, right? In the same article, it says 74% of Americans are reporting financial stress. The contributing factors is obviously inflation, goes deeper than that. People are priced out mostly because of buying homes, of real estate, mostly because of interest rates. And people are like desperate. They're pushing themselves thinner and thinner because what other choice do they have? Keep seeing articles of student loan forgiveness. And apparently a lot of people are. I don't know anyone who's had their student loans forgiven, but maybe you guys do. Because I do follow Biden and Kamala and everyone who's in office right now, because I do want to hear from the sources. And they're constantly sharing posts that they've forgiven billions of dollars in student loans. I've not seen, like for me, I could walk around, I could talk to friends, family and stuff, and they'll tell me they're feeling, you go to this grocery store right here, they'll tell you it's expensive. But then when I ask them about student loans, I don't know anybody who's gotten theirs forgiven. So apparently in this article, one of the contributing factors is that student loans have began posting again. You got to start paying them things again. Nobody really knows what's going on in the economy, man. Nobody really knows what's going on. You got CEOs of banks saying mixed things. You got stock market analysts saying mixed things. And when you look at like inflation rates, I feel like the data is just off, right? Because even when they were saying inflation rates was 8%, 9%, man, it felt like it was 30, right? But they're saying that inflation is showing signs of cooling off, although it remains high compared to what it's been the last decade or so. What's crazy to me is that this article is also reporting that hourly rates, the average hourly earning has decreased. And I don't know how impactful that really is. It could be true. I also feel like speaking to friends and going to restaurants, going to businesses are having a hard time filling jobs. To give you an idea, my brother-in-law, he's been a general manager for Buddy's, the rental company. And I think they pay $15 an hour or $20 an hour, something like that. And he has to work 6 days a week right now because no one will show up to their job interviews. They're applying, but nobody's showing up to their job interviews. How many of you guys get a sense of that as well? I also got a feeling like it's 2024. A lot of people are making money different ways now than just jobs that offer hourly wages. I live in a really nice building. God is good, thank you. And the amount of door dashing Amazon orders, Uber Eats. The amount of people coming in and out that are working this gig economy is astronomical. So I feel a lot of people just turning those on, making money that way. It's flexible. They might only be making minimum wage, but it's better than having to show up to a schedule. They can just turn it on whenever they want to. It's more convenient. So I also think the way that people are making money these days could be contributing to why there's been a decrease in the average hourly earnings. Now this is crazy. This is a crazy part of this article because so much money has been printed, and it's weird how the US government will print a bunch of money to buy more bonds. There's this whole idea that the government doesn't even operate off of our taxes anymore. Part of how they're funding all of these things is by printing more money and then buying US Treasury bonds to fund it. And then the Federal Reserve is buying US Treasury bonds, and that's creating the income that our US government needs to fund all of these crazy projects that they're passing through legislation, right? You know, funding these wars and all this that we're not even supposed to be a part of. At least I don't think. But in this article, it's reporting that nearly half of US adults, they got no savings or way less savings than they had compared to last year. That's scary, especially during a time where high yield savings account, in my lifetime, I'm 35 years old. In my lifetime, I've never seen high yield savings accounts paying 5%. And so that's nice, but it's only really helping people who are wealthy, who are rich, because your average person has no savings to be collecting 5%. And what I would say, man, like, now's the time to start hunkering down, guys. Like, I hope Americans are doing what they can to produce more income, to cut their cost. And this could negatively impact our economy as well, because if people aren't spending money, it's gonna hurt a lot of businesses, it's gonna affect jobs, but it feels like it's necessary. We gotta go through a little bit of pain here, a little tightening, in order to get ahead of this. Because if everything that I'm saying and I'm feeling is true, and there's more supply and less demand for jobs, then we're gonna have to see businesses closing down, jobs coming down, less jobs being available for things to get better, less people spending money for things to get better. Because then they say that inflation is cooling down, which is good. Then maybe interest rates will drop and people will be able to afford houses again. We'll be able to take on debt again. Debt will be cheaper. But interesting times, man, interesting times. I do think it's better. I think there's gonna be a season where people are gonna have to feel like they have to work more, cut cost, so that they can have some type of margin so they can save money and get ahead of all of the consumer debt that people are in, which I know people are in a bunch of consumer debt, so they can have some type of savings, some type of a buffer in their accounts, and feel less financial strain. And then maybe the cost of living will start to fix itself, but we don't really know, man. Just be careful out there, guys. Crazy times, man. I haven't felt like this about our economy since 2008, man. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking, how you guys are feeling about all of this. You guys could just Google 62% of Americans are still living paycheck to paycheck if you want to find that article on CNBC. Praying for y'all, man. Praying for y'all, praying for the future of the economy, praying for everyone, not just in the US, because it affects everybody. Y'all have a good one.